video, and in today's video we are going to be making some die cut stickers which will be going in my January goodie box. So I have tried so many times to film a sticker tutorial and it always just goes wrong, so like pray for me that this goes well. And it's not really the making of the stickers that goes wrong, it's never that, it's just the filming of stuff, and I overcomplicate stuff and I forget to do parts, and then I'm like, oh wait, hold on a minute, before you got to this part you should have done this thing which I forgot to mention. So hopefully I can get my brain in order and actually do a cute little sticker tutorial for you today. So let's just get into it. So when I make stickers, I make them in Photoshop and Silhouette Studio. I know a lot of other people use Procreate and Cricut Design Space because they have a Cricut machine. I do not, I have a Silhouette machine, so that is why I use Silhouette Studio, and I do all my illustration in Photoshop. But don't feel like if you don't use Photoshop you can't take stuff from this tutorial. Most of what I do in Photoshop is also doable in Procreate. So if you're using Procreate with Silhouette Studio, a lot of this stuff will also apply to you. So hang in there while I do the Photoshop stuff, and if you use Procreate and Silhouette Studio, the same stuff will basically still apply. Okay, when I'm starting my stickers, I like to start with some finished illustrations. So I have got essentially an entire sticker set that I have designed here. I'm not actually going to use all of these illustrations to make stickers today, but I'm just going to select one and show you the entire process of how I turn an illustration into a sticker. These illustrations that we're starting with here are flat illustrations. There are no layers, they are completely finished. This is just one element on one layer. I just want to separate off one of the illustrations here that I want to work with, and I am going to paste it into a new document, which I have done here. So you can see, if I turn the background off, this sticker is just one element, it's all on one layer, and it is a flattened image. Now you've probably seen stickers before and you probably know that stickers tend to have a white outline on them, so I need to create a white outline around the edge of this sticker. I could draw it by hand, but quite honestly I'm lazy, so I don't. The way I get the outline for my stickers in Photoshop is to select the layer with the illustration on that I want to turn into a sticker. I double click it and this box will pop up, and I'm looking for an option called stroke. If I click on that, it automatically ticks the checkbox. And if I just move my screen slightly so you can see the sticker. So if I turn that off and back on again so that you can see, it's putting an outline on the edge of my sticker. It's currently black and I don't want it to be black. So I'm going to change it to white, and I'm just going to make it, you can make it as thick or as thin as you like. I'm going for 15 points on there. And can you see this like white part here? This is part of the illustration that is not supposed to be there. So you can kind of see there are some black pixels that are not supposed to be there. And with this stroke effect turned on, Photoshop has put an outline around anything that has a pixel. So these are pixels that are not supposed to be there, hence they have a white outline. It makes them easier to see, so I can just delete that part. And this is the sticker. That's it. It's really that simple. If you're doing this in Procreate, I don't think there is an option, or I don't know if there is an option to put a stroke effect on an entire illustration. If not, by all means, you can just draw this outline by hand. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just the way that I find quickest and easiest to do. The next thing I want to do before we head into Silhouette Studio is I want to right click on the layer where we just put this stroke effect, and I want to rasterize, I have no idea how you say that word, rasterize layer style, which turns the stroke effect that we just put on into actual pixels. So I'm going to click that. The reason being, I want to make sure this is the right size before I put it in Silhouette Studio. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes when I've resized stuff in Silhouette Studio, it pixelates or goes a little bit blurry. And I'm not talking about making stuff bigger, because I never do that, because guaranteed it's going to pixelate. But Sometimes for making stuff smaller, that also happens in Silhouette Studio, so I like to resize stuff in Photoshop. Right, I've just had to pull my screen down because I'm recording this on Zoom. Every time I go to like click the stuff I want to click, the Zoom bar drops down. It's like, you're in a meeting. I know I'm in a meeting. It's my own meeting with me, just so I can record my screen right now. Right, so what I want to do is I want to change the size of this sticker that we have here. I'm going to hit Command T, which brings up the transform controls. And across the top here, you've got width and height that you can change. So I want to turn the little toggle thing on in between the width and the height to maintain the aspect ratio so that it doesn't get squished this way or squished this way. It will go like this, if that makes sense, not like this. And I can change the height. I want the height to be 5.5 centimeters. So you see there, it's made that actually a little bit bigger than it originally was. That may or may not cause me a problem. So to check if it's going to cause me a problem, generally you can get away with making stuff a little bit bigger in Photoshop, because Photoshop kind of fills in the pixels that would have been distorted from like resizing your image. But just to check that it is going to come out the way I want it to, I'm going to do a little test print. This is just on plain paper. It's just to check the quality of the image. Okay, this is not the best quality paper, but the image is fine. It's not pixelated, it's not distorted, so I can get away with making it just that teensy bit bigger for the sake of this one sticker. So now that I've done that, I am gonna head back into Photoshop. I'm gonna hit C to select the crop tool, and I'm just gonna crop away all the excess image that we don't need. I'm just gonna have this sticker here, and I am gonna export it, which you can do by going to File and Export, Export As, or you can hit Command, Option, Shift and W on your Mac. I have no idea what the keyboard shortcut is for Windows, but it will bring up this box, which is where you want to save your illustration essentially, so that we can drag it into Silhouette Studio in a minute. I want to save it as a PNG. I want to make sure transparency is turned on. That is very important. And I want the scale to be at 100. I want it to be the size it was in Photoshop when we typed in the size. So I can export that, and it's going to ask me where I want to save it. That's the Photoshop portion done. So basically all I've done is created an outline on an image and saved it as a new PNG. From there, I'm going to go into my Finder, find the image and drag it into Silhouette Studio. So I have Silhouette Studio open already. I have a new page here, which is an A4 page, nothing on it, just a new document, A4 size. I'm going to grab my onion guy and I'm going to put him in Silhouette Studio. And you can see he gets dragged in there. He gets dragged in there with this red outline already around him. Now if I drag it into here, you can see it a bit more clearly. He's got the white outline that we drew on in Photoshop, and then there is a red line around that white line. That's because Silhouette has this function called PNG Auto Trace. So if you press Command K or go into the Preferences menu, in the Import tab, there is an option called PNG Auto Trace, which I like to keep turned on because it just means that my stickers come in already traced. So if it's a PNG with a transparent background, Silhouette Studio will automatically put some cut lines on it, which is great because the work's basically done at this point. But where did that come from? So if you drag something into Silhouette Studio and it doesn't have a red line around it already, you need to trace it. So you do that by looking at the toolbar on the right hand side, and there is a trace panel which has got like a little, I think it's a butterfly. It looks like a butterfly to me, I don't know. But you can use that option to trace your sticker manually if it doesn't automatically get traced as it comes in. The next thing I'm going to do before we actually get to printing and cutting this sticker is I'm going to hover over the red line that Silhouette has kindly put on there for me, and I'm going to double click it to bring up the, I forget what this menu is called, the point editing menu, which you can see it now has all these dots instead of that red line. Each one of those dots is a different point at which the blade will turn. And honestly, I don't need this many points that the blade will turn. I just want to simplify, which we can do by selecting simplify from this menu, simplify the shape so that it cuts a lot more smoothly. If you've ever cut something on your Silhouette and on Cricut as well, and the blade is like juddering the entire time, that's why, because your shape isn't simplified enough and it's like doing these lots of little tiny movements instead of bigger like sweeping movements. So if you find your machine is juddering, like as it cuts, like sometimes it does that, that might be why, so that's worth a check. So now I have simplified that shape, my sticker is pretty much ready to go. I use the print and cut function on Silhouette Studio. So to do the print and cut function and for it to cut the stickers in the right places, you need to turn on the registration marks. The quickest and easiest way to do that is to press M on your keyboard and it will bring up these registration marks. I like to turn them on first because there are these hatched areas in the registration marks where you're not supposed to put stuff. You can put cut lines in there, which is what the red line is, but you can't put, or you shouldn't put artwork in there because it can mess with the way the machine reads the registration marks. So I like to turn them on first so that I know how much of the page I have to fill out. And I will fill out the entire page with this one sticker. You don't have to do that. You can put multiple designs on the sheet. You can do whatever you like. But because I need to print quite a few of these, I am going to put multiple designs on the same sheet. The way that I'm doing this is to use the duplicate function, which again you'll find on the toolbar on the right hand side. It looks like a bunch of shapes crossed over each other into a star. It's actually called the replicate panel. And it just means you can select one or multiple of the same design and just have it repeat. I like to include a gap. So if I zoom in, you'll be able to see that these two cut lines are touching where the two illustrations are like very close together. And I don't want them to be touching. So I just like to add in a gap. If you don't, sometimes it just makes the cut lines come out a little bit jagged and I don't like that. So to be safe, I just like to move them apart from each other slightly. Then I have selected the entire page worth of illustrations and pressed Command G to group the whole thing together. I do think you can also right click and group or ungroup. Group is obviously grayed out because I've already grouped them, but you can group and ungroup also using a right click on those. The reason I like to do that is because I just like them in the middle of the page. I think it looks nice. And you can align stuff using the transform panel, which is on the right hand side, again in that same toolbar. And you've got a lot of alignment options here. You can align left, right, center, middle, top and bottom. There's also these two functions which are center to page and just center. In this instance, they both do the same thing. And now I have 5, 10, 15, 20 little onion stickers that we are going to print out. And my printing process is not quite as simple as sending it to print. So you can go File, Print, or you can press Command or Control P to bring up the print window. When I print stuff from Silhouette Studio, I don't like the way they come out. Sometimes the colors are a little bit messed up. I print a lot of other stuff from Preview, it's called on a Mac. I think in Windows it's called like Photo Viewer or something. But I print most of my documents, illustrations, cards, whatever from there. And I like to print everything from there because it means the color management is fairly consistent. If I print from Silhouette Studio, sometimes the colors come out weird. So what I like to do is I press Command P to bring up the print preview. I will click print, but I'm not actually going to print the thing. I'm going to go down to the bottom, this little box that currently says PDF. There's a question mark, there's a PDF, and then there's this little arrow. If you click the arrow, you can open in preview, which it will take a minute to do its thing, and then it will pop up in the Mac preview window, which is like how you view photos and documents in a Mac. Again, I don't know what it's called in Windows, but I now have this entire sheet of little onion guys ready to print. So from here I press Command P, it brings up all my print options, and I have a preset saved for sticker sheets which is called glossy stickers, but in case you don't have that, I will just talk you through the settings that we have here. Most of this stuff you don't really need to worry about too much. Like, your print is going to be different from mine, so some of this stuff you kind of just have to figure out. But one thing that is kind of important is the paper size. If you have the option, you want to change it to A4 borderless. If you don't have that option and you only have A4, then what you want to do is get into this little preview box and click scale. You want to make sure your scale is set to 100%. Now, you might then, when you go to print, you might then get a warning that says the edges of your image are going to be cut off. They won't, because when you've sent this document from Silhouette Studio to the previewer, the print margin, which is the blank space that needs to be left around the edge, the print margin has already been accounted for. You don't need to account for it again. So you can set the scale to 100% and just ignore any error message that you might get that says, we're going to cut off the edge of your print, because it won't cut off the edge of your print. Like I said, if you have an A4 borderless option, then it will just do that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Media and quality is the other part that we want to possibly look at here. Media type is what kind of paper you're printing on. I don't have a lot of options for this printer because the print driver is not supported on Mac, which is really annoying. But if you have a printer where the print driver is supported on Mac, I definitely recommend that you download it, because rather than just this tiny little list of options, you get so many more options. But unfortunately, there's no print driver for Mac for this printer, so I'm kind of limited on options, but I'm making it work. Now, what you select here is really going to depend on what kind of sticker paper you're printing on. I'm printing on glossy vinyl paper, so I choose photo paper because that's the next nearest thing. If you're printing on like matte vinyl, I would probably try the photo paper option first. But if you're printing on like just plain matte sticker paper, then select plain paper. And quality you want to set as best, because you want the best quality stickers, right? You don't want normal quality stickers. Who wants that? We want the best ones. So I'm just going to go and select my normal glossy stickers preset that I have saved here, which you can see changes it to A4 borderless, scale is at 100%. It will feed from the rear tray on my printer because that's just where I like to feed my photo paper in. You don't need to have a rear tray to do this. Media type is photo paper and quality is best. And then I am just going to press print and we're going to send this thing across to there. Okay, so my stickers are printed. They look really, really good. I'm really happy with them. The colours all came out great as well, which is always a good thing. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to laminate these stickers. This is an optional step. You don't have to laminate your stickers, but I like to, because even though this is like a glossy vinyl and it's pretty hard wearing, it's water resistant, so you can use it for like water bottles and stuff. I like to add a laminate because it gives it more UV protection. This is a sticker that I've had on here for a little while now, and it has a laminate coating. So does this one. These ones don't, and you can see they're really, really faded. This is supposed to be green, and they faded quite a lot in the light. Like, this is a really bright room, so you get a lot more fading if you don't put a laminate on your stickers. So that's why I like to put a laminate on, just to protect. It gives it like a UV protection. So these colours can stay as bright as possible for as long as possible. Okay, so I've pretty much got all my supplies ready. I've got my sticker sheet on. I don't know how well you're going to see this on camera, but even though I did it really slowly, I've still got a couple of little dinks in the laminate. Some people will tell you that if you apply the laminate all in one fluid movement, that it goes on really smoothly and have less air bubbles and stuff in it. I have not found that to be the case. I have tried to apply the laminate all in one like slick movement. It just doesn't work. It crinkles up, and clearly I'm just doing it wrong. So I found the better way for me to do it is to do it like a little bit at a time, and I can kind of smooth out air bubbles as I go. But even still, I'm occasionally getting some little creases in the laminate, but for a sheet of 20 stickers, I've got possibly 2 there that I won't be able to use because the laminate has not gone on smoothly enough. That's okay with me. I like to keep the dud ones for myself anyway. So next week I move on to cutting the stickers. Okay, I've moved myself over here because I need to have my laptop near my Silhouette machine because it plugs in with a cable. My Silhouette is super old, so I don't even think it has like Bluetooth function. So I plug mine in manually, but if you use Bluetooth for yours, then that's fine also. That's the only reason I've moved over here. So in my screen, I have gone from the design section up here to the send section, and I have a preset saved for EVG Goods white gloss vinyl die cut, and that is a preset that I have made myself. It's based on this sticker paper with a laminate film on top. Now, depending on what sticker paper you're using, your settings will be different, and depending on whether or not you're using a laminate, it will be different. So the best way is to just trial and error, figure out what settings work for you and save them as a preset so you can use them next time. Using the ones that come preloaded in Silhouette is like a good starting point, but I've been doing this for long enough that I've had these settings saved for such a long time. So I'm gonna save those settings, which are I've got a blade depth of 3, I have a force of 33, speed of 10, and passes 2. And then I can just send the whole thing to cut. So we need to get the cut mat loaded up into the machine, and then it will do its thing. And that is it. I have now a whole bunch of little onion guy stickers, which look really, really cute. I tend to put mine on little backing cards, and I just secure them with I can't remember what they're called, like a temporary glue dot. So like a glue dot, but it's like non-permanent one. They've got a name, right? Like reusable glue dots or something. I can't remember. But I just use a little glue dot to secure this to a backing card, and then that's it. So that is how I make stickers using Photoshop and Silhouette Studio. I hope this tutorial was useful. I hope it was easy enough to follow, even though I'm a little bit chaotic sometimes. I hope you got the gist of what was going on. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to as many of you as I can. Have fun, pals, and I will see you next time.